I will be speaking on globalization and legal education challenges ahead. I'm reminded of what the first Prime Minister of Nehru said about why we should have a university. He said, university stands for humanism, for tolerance, for reason, for adventure of ideas, and for search of truth. It stands for onward march of the human race towards ever high objectives. If the universities discharge their duties adequately, then it is well with the nation and the people. Next. The forerunner of the modern university system in India by design was built for sustaining the colonial interest, but since then the things have changed after the freedom struggle. As a necessary fallout of the trend of globalization and liberal economic policies, India too has moved from the socialistic pattern of the state to the free market economy, with a distinct shift in the role of the state in the emerging economic order. The developing countries like India are likely to face new challenges for the world trading system after coming into force, which we call it World Trade Organization, WTO. I'm reminded of what the Michael Gibbon said. He was the Secretary General of the AIO, Association of International Universities. However, the question remains whether by being pushed closer to industry, universities will fail their public service missions. In order to solve their tensions and still fulfill their public service role, universities need to move from the production of reliable knowledge to what may be termed socially robust knowledge, which is increasingly in demand across the world. Paradoxically, it appears that though closer engagement with the wider research community will be available to maintain their integrity and impartiality as institutions that serve the participants in the process of globalization. In the same conference, I said, institutions are not marketplaces. Neither education is a commodity traded on demand and supply. Institutions are knowledge spaces, and education is a value in itself to distinguish between fair and unfair, just and unjust. Understanding globalization in the modern sense is like the proverbial blind man exploring the elephant. The current debate on globalization has taken a sharp approach. People speak pro-globalization, people are anti-globalization, but that debate will carry on. On such sharply divided loyalties, how do we look at the future of Indian legal education or legal education in any country, including Taiwan? Before charting the future of we need to look and take stock of the present. The history of, for example, India was written by most of the lawyers because they were the people, those who were in the forefront when we fought our freedom struggle. I think that is true about every country in the world, including India. We have seen in Pakistan recently where the lawyers were in the forefront. I'm reminded of the US Chief Justice Warren Burger said, "My mother taught us that the time to fix the cracks in the plaster is when you first move into the house. Later on, you do not pay attention to them." The same was also said by Justice Amdi, who was Chief Justice of India, when he said in a lecture, "I think we have waited long enough to repair the cracks in the legal education of the country, and it is high time we rose from our armchairs and started the repair work in the right interest." I think it applies to every legal system, every law department. The present should be grounded in strong realities to plan the future strategies. In such context, we need to transform legal education as justice education. After all, law is an instrument to attain justice, and hence it needs to be broadened in its construct as justice education. Such an approach is essential to realize the ideals set in any constitution, including India. For such a vision, the chain of causation will occur from the portals of legal education. The process will involve translating the ideas as goals, strategizing the goals with appropriate content and curriculum, and infusing them with effective teaching methods. It is pertinent to remember the words of Swami Vivekananda, the great saint of India, who said, "So long as the millions live in hunger and ignorance, I hold everyone as a traitor, who having been educated at their expense pays not the least heed to them." The need of the hour is to set the goals. We should set the house in order to gear up for meeting the challenges of globalization. Globalization in the modern sense is launched from the pad of international legal order, not from the missiles of silos. For negotiating this, it is not just values and emotions, but skills and reasoning have to be important. Globalization, though a catchword of new millennium, what is especially disturbing is the discovery of a dangerous trend in the inequality, the increasing hiatus between the urban and the rural areas. We need to go on a war footing to tackle endemic poverty in the rural areas. The fact that rising trend in economic growth in the short term leads to increasing inequality is an old hat. Second, a precondition for a successful democracy, according to the noted political sociologist Barrington Moore, has been a successful alliance between the urban middle class and the rural peasantry. Instead of investing in education, public health, and empowering the poor by rebuilding their entitlements, the state continued to regulate and throttle the markets for a very long time, more than 4 decades. Today, instead of planning out the strategies of long-term poverty alleviation, it has even abandoned the basics of governance, which should not happen. India, with a freedom history of more than 60 years behind, is a peculiar story. Today, India is free, many Indians are not. That applies to almost every country. We need to be careful of that. The manifesto of the India provided in the preamble of the Constitution is justice, social, economic and political still remains a distant dream. India is not one India. It is two Indias. One is we the people of India, that is those who are rich, wealthy and powerful. And the other category is we the other people of India, those who are poor, downtrodden, Dalits, Harijans, have-nots, disadvantaged, and that means those are not visible to the naked eye. The fundamental rights are provided in the Constitution, but if you find that the people are still neglected, people are still helpless, women are not taken care of, you still find child labor, then there is a cause of concern for everybody. If the implementation of the human rights in India have to be properly effectuated and implemented, the reality of violation of human rights has to be faced with a much more sense of sincerity and honesty towards the other people of India. Those who are not so